What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Sammy here. You know me by now. The best statue reviewer, your favorite statue reviewer, whichever one, they're both true. Who's Gem Mint? Who's Rad Titan? I don't know any of them. And today, I'm here with a review of the 1/6 scale Kotobukiya Spider-Man Unleashed statue. Now, I'm going to do this one a little bit differently because this is a smaller scale statue. You know, it's not one of those big quarter scale pieces with switch outs and a lot of ground to cover on those. I think instead what I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to kind of talk about it, and I'm going to let some B-roll play in the background. One thing I like, well, getting ahead of myself, but one thing I like about these smaller pieces is that I can much more easier take them outside and photograph them in natural daylight. One of the few good things Florida weather is good for. So, this statue was sculpted by Eric Sosa. This statue honestly doesn't need much of an introduction. I mean, everyone kind of knows this piece. When I first started getting into collecting, it's one of the first Spider-Man statues I saw, and I was like, wow. This is a 1/6 scale statue, much smaller than the usual quarter scale stuff that I cover here. Sculpted by Eric Sosa, I already said that. I believe this was limited to, well, actually it says, see, I can pick this up. This is so much more like convenient. 1,900 pieces. Yeah, that's right. See, like these 6 scale pieces are so much easier to just pick up and move around and play with, and this, not play with, but I mean, you know what I mean. And this Spider-Man is widely regarded, well, not sure if I'll say widely, but among me and a lot of people that I've talked to, this is regarded as one of the, like, regardless of scale, one of the best Spider-Man statues out there, period. And having it in hand, I would have to agree. You know, this statue always kind of caught my eye. But I never picked it up because I was collecting quarter scale, blah, 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 you know, all the fake rules that we collectors make up for ourselves, and then we break them when the next pre-order comes out. Y'all know the drill by now. I know the drill, you know the drill. So I picked this up, and yeah, having it in hand, I mean, this is, I currently own the XM Spider-Man. I owned the premium format, not the newest one with Doc Ock, but the one before, like from a few years back with like 1 million edition size. I mean, I'm a Spider-Man collector. My main areas of focus are Spider-Man, and then I have all my Punisher, Hell's Kitchen stuff, and out of every Spider-Man statue that I've seen, owned, whatever, honestly, regardless of scale, this is the absolute best. And I'll have the B-roll footage playing, and I'll show you like why I mean what I mean, or how I mean what I mean. But the anatomy on this is the anatomy, the pose. I mean, everything. There's no like weak aspect to this statue. You know, most statues you pick them up. Even ones I own, I can go to my room and show you some. But there's some that you can be like, yeah, this sculpt is out of this world. Daniel Bell, Will Harbottle, you know, this amazing sculpt, but then bad paint. Great paint, bad sculpt. Maybe great sculpt and paint, but a boring pose. I mean, you know, you can pick. There's a lot of aspects to statues. You know, it's not just a statue. Just like a band, you know, you have your lead singer, guitarist, bassist, this, that. Is there a weak link among them? Among a lot of statues, you can usually pick out a weak link. But with this one, the sculpt is unmatched on a Spider-Man piece that I've owned. I'm sure there might be better ones out there. The sculpt is incredible. I mean, I'll have this footage playing and show you the anatomy on this thing, but especially the back muscles. I mean, this is, Sosa took his time sculpting this. And speaking of, he actually has his signature, or not signature, his name and the year 2012, I guess when this was released, carved into the base, which I thought was pretty cool. I've only ever owned one other statue like this. That was the XM Hulk bust, where Troy McDevitt sculpted his name into the rock on the base. But yeah, the sculpt is out of this world. The paint, I mean, I guess you could say the paint is the weakest part, but I mean, it's a 1/6 scale statue, and Spider-Man's suit is not the easiest thing to paint. I mean, but even looking at it now while I'm saying that, there is very little outside of the lines. There really isn't much. I mean, it looks fine to me. The pose is incredible. I mean, this is like, could I have this here? Y'all can still see me, right? I mean, it's not like you want to see me anyway. You're here for the statue. But, like, you know what I mean? I mean, the pose is incredible. There is not a single... It's another thing. Most statues, even if the pose is like, whoa, man, out of this fucking world, great, you can always find an angle or two where they won't look too great in. You know what I mean? Trying to think if XM Spider-Man, actually perfect example. I love it. I love it because when you do catch that right angle, it looks perfect. It looks like a perfect scene ripped straight out of a comic book. And then sometimes I'll get home from work and I'll walk into my room and I'll look at it from like this weird angle and I'm like, why the fuck did I buy this thing? You know, I mean, there's statues can look good or look bad from different angles. This one, I've had this for like a month or so now. There is not a single angle where this statue looks bad. Even from right now, I'm looking at it from the back. I mean, this thing looks really good. I mean, the motion of this pose is the definition of a dynamic Spider-Man. I mean, this is everything. The closest thing I can think of to this in a larger scale right now is the 1/3 statue that PCS just came out with of their Spider-Man from the game. It's kind of a forward dynamic pose with like a very small attachment point. But it's the definition of dynamic. This statue is incredible. And hopefully I remembered or wasn't too lazy to edit in some footage for you guys to be seeing as I'm talking, but it's stellar. Regardless of scale, this is the best Spider-Man statue there is. The pose is ripped from a comic book page. This is the definition of dynamic. The webs, by the way, are flexible. You can mold them to some degree. I think some of, like this one you can't. This one's straight. This one, I get my one gripe with the statue. My only gripe is that this is I don't want to touch it because it's going to move, but the slightest force put onto this will just send this web piece like flying down. Not always falling off, but it is very fragile. Not fragile. It is very loose on there. It's not going to fall off if it's just sitting there. It hasn't moved this entire video. And even when I'm moving the statue itself, sometimes it won't move, sometimes it will. That's not flexible. The web in the back is so you can kind of get it to look how you want it to a degree. It still has to plug into his hand and someplace here. So everything, you know, everything in between you can mold and move around to your heart's content. So, you know, not much to say. It's a 1/6 scale Spider-Man piece, no switch outs. It's just a showcase of talent. Even the base. I mean, I'll show you footage of the base too, but I love, if this was quarter scale, this would be the only Spider-Man I would ever need. And I'm probably going to be getting, or I might, we'll see, but I'm probably going to be getting the Symbiote PF that Sideshow just showed. Not just showed, but, and I'll put it behind here. I think it's going to look kind of cool because they're both kind of similar. It's a long pillar with Spider-Man in a condensed pose. So I think it could look pretty cool. Anyway, enough of that. I've said just about all there really is to say. I mean, what more do you need? Great sculpt, great paint, great pose. I'm just going to be repeating myself, and there's only so much of me you can put up with. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I highly appreciate each and every single one of you, like I always do. You're all beautiful. You're all amazing. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves and staying well. Hope you enjoyed the video. Pick this up if you can find it. I mean, it's obviously long sold out, but pops up for sale here and there all the time. So yeah, thanks guys, and until next time, peace out.